Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into Tesla's full self-driving AI because Elon Musk just made another huge promise that's got everyone talking. So there it is. Elon Musk recently announced that a new AI model is coming, and it's not just a small update. We're talking an entire order of magnitude larger. That's 10 times bigger. In theory, that should mean a massive leap forward in what the car can do. But if you've been following this story, you might be feeling a little bit of déjà vu. This isn't the first time we've heard about a giant new model. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack what's really going on. We'll look at the promise versus the super complex reality of building an AI that can actually drive. Okay, let's get right into it. What does a 10x larger model even mean? Well, think of it like giving the AI a much bigger brain. More parameters means it has more memory, which lets it understand and handle a much wider, much weirder variety of driving situations, and all those tricky edge cases. Here's the catch, though. This is kind of becoming a pattern. Over the past year or so, we've heard promises of models that were 3x larger, then 5x larger, and now here we are at 10x. But the thing is, none of these massive step change upgrades have actually made it out to the cars that you and I can drive. So that brings up the big question, right? Why the delay? Why keep talking about these bigger, better models if they're not ready? Well, it all comes down to some really, really difficult engineering trade-offs. It's not as simple as just making it bigger. And this slide right here just lays it out perfectly. The promise, the dream, is that a bigger model gives you these almost magical new capabilities. But the reality is a whole lot messier. With that bigger size comes a huge cost. Not just money, but it's slower, it's harder to run, and it can hide all sorts of strange new bugs. So the experts think there are basically three big roadblocks here. First, that giant new memory space can hide really complex bugs that are a nightmare to find and fix. Second, the current model, the smaller one, is actually still getting better and better, so there's less pressure to rush out the new one. And finally, and this is probably the biggest one, it is just incredibly hard to make an AI model that massive run fast enough on the computer that's actually inside the car. But, it's not just about making the model bigger. Musk also talked about two really cool techniques that are totally changing how the AI learns to drive. We're talking about chain of reasoning and reinforcement learning. So first up is chain of reasoning. This is not about the AI making a split-second gut decision. It's actually the opposite. It's about the car literally hitting the pause button for a millisecond, simulating a few different possibilities, and then thinking through the problem step by step, kind of like a person would. And this is the perfect way to think about it. Imagine you're in a crazy, chaotic Costco parking lot on a Saturday. You're not just driving on autopilot like you would on the highway, right? No way. You are actively, consciously thinking about every single move, trying to predict what that person with the giant cart is going to do. That's chain of reasoning for the car. Okay, the second big idea is reinforcement learning. You can think of this as a virtual training playground for the AI. It's like a driving simulator on steroids. Tesla can take one tricky moment from a real car on a real road, pop it into their simulator, and then run thousands and thousands of slightly different versions of it to teach the AI the absolute best way to handle it. It's this brilliant feedback loop. You grab real-world data, you create a ton of variations in the simulator, you let the AI test things out and learn from what works, and then, this is the key part, you take all the data from the successful simulations and you feed it back into the main AI model. It just gets smarter and smarter. So where is all this incredibly advanced tech headed? What's the end game? Well, it's not just about making a better cruise control. The ultimate vision here is a massive fleet of fully autonomous robo-taxis. But here's the thing. To get there, the system can't just be as good as a human driver. It can't even be just a little bit better. For a company to responsibly put millions of driverless cars on the road, that AI needs to be way, way safer. We're talking on the order of 5 to 10 times safer than you or me. That is an insanely high bar. And this chart just puts that whole challenge into perspective. Look, today's full self-driving is probably already safer than the average human driver, but you can see that huge gap between where it is now and that 5 to 10x safety level it needs to hit before a real robotaxi network can happen at scale. Which, of course, brings us to the billion-dollar question that everybody wants an answer to. When? When is this future actually going to get here? Well, based on the expert analysis we've been looking at, a more grounded, realistic timeline might look something like this.
Right now, we're in the public testing and limited driverless trial phase. But we could see the beginning of a truly scaled service. We're talking thousands of cars by the end of 2026. And if that happens, we could potentially see millions of these robotaxis on the road by 2030.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that behind all the headlines and all the hype, there is this immense, methodical, and incredibly difficult engineering problem being solved. This isn't just another feature on a car, it's one of the hardest AI challenges in the world, and cracking it is going to fundamentally change our cities and how we live. And that kind of leaves us with this final, fascinating question. AI doesn't improve in a straight line. It improves exponentially. So while these timelines are a necessary dose of reality, in the world of artificial intelligence, the next breakthrough that changes the entire game could literally be just one training run away.